it focused? All right. I'm gonna be planting a green giant arborvitae tree today. First step to planting a tree, dig a hole twice as wide as the root ball. Helps to break it up. And it helps to have one of these in case you're dealing with some roots. Ooh, decent rock. Yeah. Make a couple piles of dirt around your hole to make it easier to backfill. If you put all the dirt on one side, like I'm doing, I'm gonna have to walk around with shovelfuls of soil. So, put some over there, put some over here. You're gonna wanna take out the big roots and rocks, but you're gonna wanna use this to backfill. You can use outside soil, but the soil has all the good fungi, bacteria, and the native microbes that these plants need to thrive and do their best. Any store-bought mycorrhizal packets or additional microbes, they might help short-term, but if the soil is not suited for them and they're not already there, they're probably not going to be able to survive there, because what they need isn't in the soil. So let your plants, especially your native plants, this is technically a hybrid of a native plant, let them make their own connections. Let them fill their own niches with the ecosystem that is around them. If trichoderma does something for one plant in one environment, there's probably another fungi or bacteria that does that same thing local that scientists possibly haven't discovered yet, or at least written about. And we don't know everything. So we're digging our hole twice as wide and just as deep. Usually the entire spade is how deep the root ball will be. I'm gonna scratch a little off the top, but a little deeper than the spade. A little further down. Now you can't really see the hole because I just put soil in front. Oh. Big rock. That's a nice one. Okay. After digging your hole wider and at the right proper depth, just cleaning it out a little more. Okay, I like to scrape away from the edges and push it all into the middle. Make a little bit of a mound and then flatten it up a little bit so that it kind of goes like this. And then once the plant sits in, it'll sit higher. We can maneuver it, backfill, and get it straight. Bigger trees, helps to have two people. If you don't, grab it, lean it, hit it a couple times, and then wish yourself good luck. This one has 2 pots. It's been in here a while. Last resort, break your back, just kick it. Ooh. There goes the first pot. Extremely root bound, which is why I was in 2 pots. You might have to cut this one off. Just let me go get my hori hori. Hori hori, Japanese planting tool, flat side, serrated side. Perfect for cutting roots or cheap plastic. First we'll clean all the roots off. It's not gonna make it through here anyway. And we want it to start making new roots. Keep your debris in one of your pots. Saw it down all the way. Oh yeah. microplastic. So by the way, give this pot a nice lick at the end. Oh my goodness. There it is. There's one. There we go. Okay. 20 minutes later. Pot's off. Look at that fruit ball. She's bound up tighter than a woman on no X-Lax, right? Terrible. Scratch all this rice hull and shit off the top so we can see what we're dealing with. We want to be able to see the basal flare. Right now it's just straight into the soil. That's not good. So we got to cut back some of this to expose the basal flare, because that is where the tree exchanges its oxygen and it can breathe. That's why mulch volcanoes kill trees, suffocates them slowly but surely, or encourages girdling root, which is when a root wraps around from one side to the other side and it keeps growing into the tree, constricting it. And once they get too big, you can't remove them and the tree will slowly die. That's 90% of tree problems. It's not bugs, it's not fungus, it's bad planting, which then leaves the tree open to bugs and fungus. We're gonna cut down a little bit, scratch away around the trunk a little bit here. All these fibrous roots don't really matter. They'll grow back in 2 seconds. Just wanna make sure that there's not already any girdling roots, since it's been in the pot a long time. I know I'm Michael Jacksoning it. Yeah, this one's fucked too now. Okay. Try not to scratch the trunk bark while you're cleaning it. That'll cause a scar, which isn't the worst thing, but it doesn't look good. Oop. There's a root kind of going around, but it's not close to the trunk. So I'm gonna leave that. All right, feels good. Rip some of these. By cutting the roots like this, it encourages them to grow new extensions because they're free. Ooh, get my hand all out. You don't have to go deep. Just cutting the surface roots. A little scoring under here. Okay. Now we want to make sure that the right face is facing the right way. There's a path behind me for a tractor. We don't want it growing that far. South is that way. It's gonna grow that way. So let's there's a couple of shoots coming off. I want them to go that way. But I also want it to block the neighbors, which is the whole point of this tree, is a visual block. So I want it to get a little wide. I'll put these guys towards the south. So when they do grow, they'll grow out that way, not that way, into the tractor path. And it'll do more privacy. All right, let's get her in the ground. Don't forget to breathe. Take a step back. You want the top of the root ball to be in line with the original grade. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna shift it over a little bit. Now I'm gonna start backfilling. I'm gonna take a step back, make sure it's straight in each direction, which it's not. It wants to go back this way and maybe a little towards me. So keep backfilling. Step back again. Looks better. better. If you needed to, lightly step on the root ball while pulling, and that'll kind of kink it that way. Or you push it, shovel under, and then use your shovel to pack it down. If there's enough room, use your foot, and that will usually hold it. And you can backfill all the way around. This is why it's good to put soil all the way around. Get your limbs out unless you want it to make new trees. And you're gonna do a little step around, heel it in. It wants to be compact, but not extremely tight, not cement. But you want to make sure soil is making a good connection with all those roots that you just cut so that it can grow new roots. Also, you don't want any part of the root ball exposed because then it dries out. So, we're going to cover it again. And lightly pack it down. Very important though. Go in, clean out near at least 4 or 5 inches away from the trunk of the tree. If you build soil, again, or mulch up against the trunk of the tree, especially the base, you're going to promote girdling roots, and you're going to give it access for vermin to get to and nibble the trunk of the roots. Or just suffocate it. All right, one more time. Circle around, picking up the branches so you can see what you're stepping on, what you're doing. Clear out around the trunk. Now you can use the remaining soil to build a little water retention area. The donut, I guess. Especially on the downhill side, it's more important. Not so much important on the uphill side where water is going to be flowing in. But build it up on the downhill side where water is going to be flowing out. To slow that water down. Keep it on the roots as long as possible, letting it soak in and getting a deep root feeding as opposed to just doing the surface roots. Deeper the watering, deeper the roots go, stronger the tree. And give it a little test, grabbing it firmly and trying to move it side to side. Putting pretty good pressure on, it's not coming out of the ground. That's what you want. Last step is mulch. You can mulch with a plethora of material, leaves, grass, hay, wood chips, sticks, rocks, whatever's at hand, whatever will keep it dark and damp so that the soil retains more moisture, doesn't get baked out by the sun. If you had to choose, I would choose either cedar or hemlock. It promotes the least amount of fungi, armillaria, that may have adverse effects on your plants. Again, same with the soil. Move your stems out of the way. Make sure there's no mulch 3 to 4 inches against the trunk. And you want there to be mulch at least to the drip line, which is the edge. When it rains, water, or it gets humidity, these will drip. Those drips, you want it to stay close to the tree itself. That is the best place to water. Also, you don't want to water right at the trunk that's encouraging roots to stay at the trunk. You want to water out towards the edge of the drip line. Anytime you're applying fertilizer, you want it to be outside of the drip line so that the roots will want to reach. If you put it right there, the roots aren't going to go anywhere. Looking at my butt. This just sits on top. You can also make the donut with just the mulch itself. There you go. Beautiful arborvitae. What do you think? Hopefully it's doing its job, blocking the view from the house to the neighbors. Bye-bye.